It's Wednesday. Before I say anything, let's do a little first sip of my Starbucks. It is very good. I went to Starbucks this morning because a sweet friend on YouTube treated me to that, so I want to say thank you for that. Also, let's wait for this man to go because he's more important than me. Also, you got 15 bonus stars just for ordering something today, so it just seemed like that was God's way of saying I needed to go to Starbucks today. But I am feeling better today. Obviously, nothing has happened. I'm on my way to work. It's about 7:20. I talked to you guys when I got home. I cooked dinner and just didn't do any work for the rest of the day or for the rest of the night. What I decided was I'm going to I think what was happening is the language arts lesson was causing me stress because it was something that I was developing on my own, or an idea that I was trying to flush out, and it wasn't fully fleshed out, and that was giving me anxiety. So then I just had a moment of clarity, and I'm very proud of myself because I don't always do this, where I just said, just don't do that lesson tomorrow. Just don't do it. Like, if you don't feel like it's fleshed out and that you have enough time and that you can be confident in doing it, just don't do it. It's okay to give them, they're called blasts on Study Sync. I don't use them often because I feel like they're just busy work in some ways. And I hate feeling like I'm just giving my kids busy work, but this particular blast was actually pretty good. And I had my morning homeroom class started, so I just said, just give them the rest of the classes the blast. While they're working on the blast, go ahead and kind of look through the idea that you have for the language arts lesson that was causing you some stress, because I have the resources for that pretty much selected. It's just like, I feel like I need to marinate on it a little bit more before I teach it. So while they're working on the blast, marinate on that. And if you feel good after the marination process, teach it the next day. My focus really needs to be on the history lesson today, because today we're going to talk about abolition as the next step in the Civil War unit that I'm working on. And I think once I made that decision, like, a weight was lifted. I think my issue is I feel like I need to be actively and intensely teaching every waking moment of the day, and that's great, but it's also okay to just not, to like let them work on something independently, even if it's not the most rigorous or, you know, amazing lesson you've ever given them or resource you've ever had them work on, and that's okay. And I don't always give myself that grace, and so I'm giving myself that grace. So that helped, and I woke up this morning and I worked out, and that helped. And I think part of the problem yesterday was that I didn't work out, and that just threw me off and didn't give me that like kickstart in the morning that I need. Even though I don't work out on Mondays, and I don't normally feel that way on Mondays, I think it's psychological because I'm not supposed to work out on Mondays. But when I don't work out on a day that I'm supposed to work out on, it affects me. And I feel like I've been talking very fast and a lot, but long story short, I am feeling better today than I did when you guys saw me yesterday. So I'm going to hope that that trend continues. If you are following me on Instagram, the pair of pants that I'm wearing today are very comfortable. They are from Old Navy. I showed you guys these pants on Saturday's vlog when I was opening packages, and I'm wearing the mustard colored ones today, and they are very, very comfortable. So much so that I included the link in the Insta story because I want everyone to get a pair. And I will try and remember to add the link to the description box on this video, because I ordered 3 pairs of these, and I'm glad I did that. I might even go back and see if there's other colors that I didn't order that I now need to order. So anyway, I'm gonna get to work, and when I get there and get a little settled and feel like I have a little break in the day, I will share with you the language arts lesson that has been causing me some anxiety, as well as what my plan is for teaching and starting to talk about abolition with my students. So see you soon. It's 11:30. I'm on lunch. I have about 30 minutes left, and I wanted to check in. The sound of an email. To let you know how things have gone so far. So I've had my 2 a.m. groups, and I'm so glad that I just had them do the study sync blast. I feel like that went well. The question that they had to answer was, how does conflict bring people together? I really did like that question because it kind of touched on how conflict can bring people together in good ways, but then it can also bring people together in bad ways, and they were able to reference things like the Holocaust, the development of the United Nations, kind of related to some of the causes that have been very prominent and up and coming in the past year or so. So I gave them a few minutes to work on that. We shared out with a couple students in each class, and then we were done with language arts. History, we started talking about the abolition movement, and the first thing that I did, I should have just started at the computer, was I asked them to tell me, let me put you down for a quick second. I made this Jamboard and I asked them, what does abolition mean to them? So in the first group, when I was reading or having them share their responses on Jamboard, it became clear that they Googled the word abolish or abolition and then gave me that definition. So with my switch class, my morning switch class, before I let them start, I said, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to Google the word. So I told them, I don't want you to Google the word. I want to just really know what you know about the word abolition. Like, do you know what it means? And if so, what do you think it means? So that helped with the second group, because the first group I had responses that were almost identical because they were just giving me the definition. So I first asked them, what does it mean to them? And then I told them today, we refreshed some of the causes for African slavery in the United States and some of the effects. And then I said, now today we're gonna look at the flip side of slavery, which is the abolition movement. And so we started off with them answering that question. And then I said, today we're going to learn about what abolition means, but we're also going to learn that abolition meant different things to different people. And so I let them know that when I was in school and I learned about abolitionists, I just assumed that all abolitionists were the same and that they wanted to end slavery in the exact same way, and that all abolitionists must be inherently good people. But, you know, in the process of learning more about things in preparation for teaching these lessons, I've changed my mind. Like, not all abolitionists equal, and I don't necessarily think all abolitionists were good, just based on what they perceived abolition to mean. So I said, we're gonna learn that. And then we dug way back to the beginning of the school year and just refreshed our memory on the concept of anti-racist, assimilationist, and segregationist, which is directly from the book Stamped, which I don't have right next to me because I had to make some copies from it. And we reviewed what those terms meant. And I said, so as we're learning about some of these different abolitionists, I want you to see if you can categorize them into one of those categories. Are they examples of anti-racism or an anti-racist? Are they an example of an assimilationist or an example of a segregationist? And then we watched a video that I found that gave a very brief history and a foundational understanding of the abolitionist movement, the difference in many cases between white abolitionists and black abolitionists, and what some of the conflict was there. They learned a little bit about William Lloyd Garrison in that video. They heard, maybe that video didn't reference Frederick Douglass, but they heard about William Lloyd Garrison, and so we watched that. And then after that is when we listened to chapter 11 in Stamped, which is titled Mass Communication for Mass Emancipation, which focuses on how the abolitionist movement kind of grew in a more national sense, as opposed to just little segments of people or groups talking about slavery and how it needs to be ended and or abolished. So it went well in both classes. The next class is the test class. That is the class that is the biggest struggle in terms of engagement and interaction. So we'll see how that goes. And then my very last class is not quite as lively as the AM classes, but they're livelier than the first group of afternoon kids. Plus those two classes are smaller. There's just physically less students in them. So that's what I've done so far. I'm getting ready to eat lunch. Oh, and we charted we charted our responses on a cause and effect chart. I need to fill in some areas because I was rushing this morning. So we were talking about the cause of the abolitionist movement. So we know it was slavery, and the idea that people started to realize that slavery was dehumanizing, people were being stripped of their individual rights, and that it was, just for lack of a better term, wrong, bad, etc. And some of the effects of the abolition movement growing and gaining popularity was people become divided over the issue of slavery. It starts to promote the idea of freedom for slaves, and supporters of slavery start to feel this unyielding need to fervently defend it. Okay, and obviously all that's going to lead to us going to war with each other. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and eat my lunch and get ready for the next group. And I will probably talk to you much later because I have an IEP right after school. So I'll talk to you later. It's 5:45. I am getting ready to go home. I think everything is ready for tomorrow, but I will have to check it in the morning because I always do. Because when I'm posting things at this time of day or even after school in general, I know that my brain is not in its full clear state. So I will check it in the morning. The rest of the classes with the abolitionists, or the start of the abolitionist lesson, I think went really well. I will try and make sure to link the resources that I use. The book stamped is obviously just a book that I have listed in my Amazon store, so you can click on that. But the video clip that I used or found on YouTube, I will add that there. And the Jamboard, you know, you would just have to make the Jamboard if you wanted to use that. But it went well, and it was, I'm glad that I had the thought this morning to kind of tie some of that back to the terms abolitionist, anti-racist, and segregationist, and it tied in nicely with the chapter from the book because it talks about William Lloyd Garrison, and it starts off by saying, giving like this example of, you know, this football player who surprised people because he was a football player, but he was also a tap dancer, and he was also very concerned with protecting and the rights of, you know, young girls and women. And it said something like, he didn't always get things right, but at least he tried. And then it kind of goes into William Lloyd Garrison to point out the fact that he may have had some flawed ideas about abolition, but what matters is that he was trying, and that he was making a difference, even though some of his thinking was misguided. So generally speaking, we had a good conversation in all my classes with that. Even in the class that is pretty quiet, that one I'm just gonna have to call on people at all times. It's just not gonna be a class that's gonna volunteer and have like just fluid conversation. So tomorrow my plan is, I will show it to you once I've had time to kind of comb through that, is to have them look at specific abolitionists, because I do think that that's important. Have them look at specific abolitionists, and I'm thinking I'm going to try and have them do this in a group and assign an abolitionist to a set of students and have them work on that and present. I'm 90% sure that that's what I'm going to have them do, but it's something I also need to spend a little time marinating on tonight, which I will, because I don't have to cook. So yeah, I'm gonna go home. I'm going to work on some financial things today. I think I'll be able to make a significant payment on a credit card, the one that I'm working on. It's not gonna pay it off, but I think it's gonna make a pretty good dent. I haven't had time to kind of look at any extra income I've gotten over the past month or so and decide how much of that I want to and can afford to pay on this credit card. So I'm looking forward to that. That makes me feel like I'm doing something right in life. And then I'm gonna eat and try and kind of marinate and finalize my lessons for tomorrow and call it a day. So that's my day. In a closing thought, I want to reiterate the pants that I'm wearing today are extremely comfortable and they don't wrinkle. So if you're looking for some comfortable pants, please check these out. This is not sponsored, linked, affiliated. It's just, that's how much I love the pants. I will add the Insta story from this morning so you can kind of see what they look like. They're a linen blend, wide leg pants, elastic waist. What more could you ask for? So I'm gonna add that, but that's it. If you enjoyed today's vlog, please give this vlog a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you head over there so you can see my outfits every morning if you're looking for a little bit of inspiration for teacher outfits or ideas on where to get some good clothes. And as always, I hope that you guys are well. And if you're not well, please be well. And I will see you guys tomorrow.